analysis.
Yeah, you're right. But ladies and gentlemen, to the best of my knowledge, this is now going to be the worst air disaster in India's civil aviation history in the last 30 years. I remember when I was in school, when the mid-air collision happened in Charki Dadri in 1996, in which 350 people had died. Since then to now, which we are in 2025, this would be the worst air disaster, which I'm assuming around about 300 souls, including the former Chief Minister of Gujarat, including British nationals who have perished in this crash. Now, I'm trying to get you updates whether we have information. There's a helpline number at the bottom of your screens for family members. Unfortunately, I don't know what good that helpline number is going to do. There are no survivors. The likelihood of any survivors, miraculous survivors, is, we can hope for miracles, but it's as near nil as it possibly gets. So now it's about figuring out what went wrong. Now let me get Wing Commander Sudhakaran back in before I get in Group Captain Chaudhary once again. So Wing Commander Sudhakaran, now let's take you through how civil operations are working. Now there's a flight manifest that is created, and confirms not the people who have checked in luggage, not the people who have got boarding passes, but the people who have actually boarded. So the crew is aware of every single soul on board. This is a requirement under civil aviation law. Number two, the weight of the aircraft, which is the luggage, the fuel, the pilot needs to be made aware of, because on that basis the pilot then calculates the length of runway that he will be traversing before the point of takeoff. Now there have been cases in the past that the pilots have been given inaccurate information of the weight on board, and they have been surprised that they've had to go longer down the runway to gain lift and sufficient velocity to take off. Not all of these incidents have been fatal, but they're not unheard of. They do happen. Now, is there a possibility that something as innocuous as this has taken place, that the pilots were simply unaware of how overloaded this aircraft was?
Unlikely, Rishabh. Reason is, see, the aircraft has taken off and then it is refusing to climb for whatever reason. First hand, it looks like loss of power in both the engines. That's what it appears. But any other assessments would be speculative at this point of time. And it is better that we don't do it as responsible citizens. Don't spread canard and misinformation that we must be extremely careful of. All said and done, it is very easy to say somebody was incompetent or didn't do the job.
Okay, no, I don't know. Something has gone wrong. So something has gone wrong. Now either Boeing has delivered engines that don't work, or the people who are operating those engines or repairing those engines or overseeing those engines or performing the technical checks were not aware, or didn't. Something has gone wrong. 300 people are dead. It's the worst air crash in India in 30 years. And the last time it happened in Charki Dadri, that was two planes didn't have a technical fault. They simply smashed into each other, okay, including a 747. That was ATC pilot error. Okay, ATC error. Night time, we didn't have those advanced enough warning systems for pilots 30 years ago, which exists now. But that's ATC error, pilot error. Now, what is obvious here is, and this is just obvious, that in the moments before the crash, which have now been videographed from two different angles, and this is the most easily viewable angle, from those moments it is obvious. I do not see an explosion on board the aircraft. I do not see a large chunk of the cabin missing or a hole in the cabin part. What I do see is a photograph of one of the wheels of the aircraft along with its landing strut, which is lodged in a building. This has happened before the catastrophic crash. Now, whether this is fallen off the aircraft, highly unlikely.
It would have caught fire otherwise.
It is highly unlikely that a nut screw came loose and a large chunk of an aircraft just fell off. Now, there has to be, for something to be sheared off an aircraft, there has to be a shearing force. Now, either this is clipped something, I can't qualify this as metal fatigue, that in a 10-year-old aircraft things have just fallen off. And even if something fell off, even if a nose wheel fell off, okay, that should not really affect the engine systems of the aircraft. That should give the pilot a difficulty in trying to land the aircraft after circling. And then you would have seen the pilot trying to circle the aircraft, and if something had to go wrong, it would go wrong in a crash landing. This is a pilot who is trying to pull up till the last second. You can see the nose of the aircraft going up. So, nose pretty flat, pointing up, further pointing up. Look at how sharply it is pointing up, and it goes down, tail down. Tail down crash. So, the tail has hit first and the cockpit has hit last. Wreckage, remains of a passenger seat.